Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I have implemented the cluster module in Node.js. So at the end of the video, you will have a better understanding of cluster module, how cluster module work in Node.js, and at the same time, you will be able to understand other functionalities of cluster module. So I have one suggestion. If you want, you can speed up the video because this video is a little bit slow as I'm describing line by line, and at the same time, I'm coding. So you can speed up the video for better understanding. So let's proceed with the video. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today in this video, I'll be showing you cluster module in Node.js. So this is the fifth number of video in the basic to advanced Node.js series. If you have already missed my previous videos, you can check out those videos. In there, I have discussed about the basic concept of Node.js, how async await work, how promise then work. And this cluster module is a little bit part of advanced Node.js. I think you will be able to understand this cluster module, but if you cover my previous videos, then you will better understand better understand this cluster module, right? So what is cluster module? So as we all know that Node.js is single threaded, and so that means no matter how many core your CPU has, it will always use the single thread of your CPU. So it is okay for basic input output operations or for all the applications which is built in Node.js. For all the operation, almost this is okay. So if we are blocking the if we are processing multiple requests through Node.js single thread, it blocks the path for the second request. At first, it processes the first request, then it will go for the second request. So this way it will work. But now, if your system has a requirement like we have two requests, one request is okay, it is not that much heavy, but if you have one more request which is highly CPU intensive operation where we have to perform, so in that case your system might struggle to face that scenario or to better performance or for better scaling of that application. So during that time we use the built-in cluster module of Node.js. So what cluster module does, as I have already told you, like Node.js uses the single core of your single core of your CPU. So that means maybe your CPU has multiple core, maybe some system CPU has 8 core, 10 core or 12 core. It will use the only one core, but system cluster module enables your Node.js application to use a multiple number of core, and that means it actually distribute the load among multiple core instead of one core. And in this way we can make our Node.js application scalable, and also the load balancing thing, I mean the distribution of load through multiple requests, it can handle very easily, right? Now in this video I will show you how we can use the cluster module in Node.js. But before that I want to tell you one thing, like cluster module can create multiple child process means multiple it can enables multiple code. So I'm seeing each and every single code you can say as a child code, and there will be one master code. So one master code has multiple child code, this kind of like parent and child relationship. This way cluster module builds, right? Now I will show you how I'm going to implement this cluster module in the Node.js application. So at first I'll be implementing one simple route, and I will show you how this works. And after that I'll be making one more file which is known as cluster.js, and I will handle those two routes with the cluster request. And then I will show you how the scalable thing work in Node.js after using the cluster module. Okay. So now I'll be opening my terminal over here, and here I will show you. I'll create some basic route in Node.js. So const express I have already installed. So if you have not installed it, you have to install the express module at first. So I'll create the route by using the HTTP module that I have already installed. So if you want, you can also create that HTTP module. If request URL dot includes home, then res dot end, it will simply print home page. Else if I'll be putting one more condition. Slow loading, I'm giving this name as slow loading route, and then res dot end slow loading. Okay, now what do you have to do? Const port equals to 4500, let's keep it. Okay, then I will do server dot listen port, then console log, sorry, server listen to the port, this port, right? Now let's see. Okay, so node app.js, you see it is running in 4500, but I'll be installing npm I nodemon. It will restart my server automatically. And then in the package.json, I'll be doing start and then nodemon app.js. npm start. It has started my server, right? Now I will do some high CPU intensive task, so that it will take some time to load, and I can show you why we need cluster module for such kind of request. Here I will run a loop. Console log. Okay, it will print 1000 of console log. Instead of that, let's put this. Okay, now I will show you. So here very easily it is landing the home page. Now if I do slow loading this one, okay, so now if I open inspect part and I will open the network tab. Okay, and here also I have opened one more page, and I'm opening the network tab. Okay. So in both part we have opened. Now I will show you how much time this home page will take to load. But before that, let's start the server one more time, otherwise it will block the path. Okay, now npm start. Here, home page, and so it has taken some 27 millisecond, right? And if you check in here, let's see, it has taken some 9 millisecond. Okay, for first time loading. Now I will reload this page parallelly, these two page parallelly. One is this and the second one is this. Now let's see. What it is showing. You see, it is showing like slow loading page is in pending mode, and it will be in pending mode. And at the same time, this one, which is not that much, this is a simple console log, one page rendering we are doing here. So this is a simple request. At the same time, this request, as we have at first loading this page, so this is using the single thread of Node.js. Now it has blocked the thread. That's why that particular thread is not able to process this simple request. It has blocked the path. Okay, I hope you get it. That means the moment I loaded this page parallel, I do loading these two page parallelly, and I load this page, and at the same time it just goes into some pending state, and it is blocked the path for the second request because Node.js using the single thread, and also this is the main thread of the Node.js currently, and that's why, and the processing is not yet completed. That's why this second process is also not able to use that thread, because that particular thread is blocked by this request. Now to resolve this problem, we introduce the cluster module, right? Now this side can't be reached. Okay, this both becomes this. Okay, now what we have to do, you see, some infinite loop kind of thing has started over here. So I will stop this, otherwise my system will start hanging. Okay, now I will do this same request by using the cluster module. Now let's see what is the difference then. So here, now I will be installing the cluster module. So const cluster equals to require cluster. But we haven't installed yet, so let's do it in PMI cluster. Okay, and at the same time we also have to install the OS module. So why we are installing this OS module? So this OS module will show you how much core your CPU has, right? So how to check that? I can do one thing, OS dot CPUs dot length, right? And I will do a console log for this. Let's see how many cores my CPU has. Sorry. Yeah, node cluster.js. Okay, so my CPU has 12 core. That means also take one note over here, right? The number of CPU core equals to number of child process. That means if I show you on the presentation, so there you can see one file, the main file is index.js, and this cluster module has two worker, first worker and second worker. So now if my system has 12 core, so I can create 12 worker and I can run 12 worker parallelly. Okay. So maximum 12 till 12 I can create. So that much optimal we can make our system, or that much scalable we can make our system. So the number of worker equals to the total number of CPU code. That much code we can create, right? So, and also you can see this process will all run parallelly. It will not block. I mean, if I am processing the worker one by using the single thread, then this worker two will get processed by some other thread, not with the worker one thread. So that's why we are not blocking the path. Instead of that, we are using we are only using the single thread to process a single request. So that means now, if you check my previous video where I have already discussed about the event loop, that means single code means single event loop. So that means if I have 12 code, that means 12 event loop will create. So that means each worker has separate request, and separate worker will act as a single request. That means we are also distributing the load amongst multiple worker. Okay, this is the theoretical part. Now if you check, like currently my system is running in 4500 port, right? We send the request and it is going through the API gateway. Now we have three code. We have segregated into three different code. One is three of them are running in 4200. So that means even if we are using separate code, but that doesn't mean that our code will run on different port. It will use the same port or same host address, but it will act as separate code. So this cluster module enables that Node.js capability to use the multiple code instead of using only one code. So cluster has a highly potential of making Node.js as a highly scalable application. So for processing this high CPU intensive task, we use this cluster module. That is the main thing. I hope you understand this. And if you miss something, then you can pause the video and run the video from the starting, and you can understand it better, right? So now let's see, after introducing the cluster module, how these two requests work. Now I will do one thing. Okay, now as I am using the Windows system, so for Windows system, you have to do this thing, scheduling policy. This will be like cluster dot, that is not showing, right? So that is SCHE, one second, SCHED, none. Don't worry, I will put all this code in the GitHub branch so that you can take and practice from there. For if you are using the Windows laptop, then you have to use this cluster module, this part of the cluster module. Otherwise, your system will start hanging and it will stop your system, right? But if you have Mac system, then you don't have to use this. It will automatically handle by cluster, right? Now we have one procedure, you can say we have one function which is known as cluster.isMaster. So sorry, this is not this. So this will check like if the present current request is a master process or not. If it is not master process, so it will go for the child process, right? Now we will see how master process is running in the system with address process dot pid, right? And there is one more procedure by which we can create the child process, that is cluster dot fork, right? So at least you create two child process. So for creating two child process, we have to repeat this line. But for Windows, I will be creating 4 child process right? So I'll be repeat this line 4 times. If you have MacBook, then you can use 2 times. Otherwise, if you have Windows, then you use 4 times. It will, otherwise your system will get slow, right? Now that means it has created 4 child, 1 master, 4 child, right? Now let's see. I will copy this complete part over here. Okay, and we will also see the worker code ID. Let's see, master process, and I will be the child process or worker process is running in the system with address this. Okay, now let's see. We will do node cluster.js. It is giving some error. Okay, so this HTTP module is not installed. I mean, it is installed, but this npm we have not imported here. So now let's do it. Const HTTP require HTTP, right? Now anything more we are missing? No, that's it. So now let's see. Okay, port is not defined. Okay, so const port, which is equals to 4500. Let's make it a little big so that it is completely visible to you. Then node cluster.js. Okay, now you see, so the master process is running in the system address, separate address we have. Child process is running, we have 2 more child process address, right? One is this one, separate address we have. This one is the second one, this is the third one, and this is the fourth one. So this is my 4 separate code address, and this is the master code address. I mean, the main thread of Node.js, you can say, that is the master code. And apart from that, this is the address of the separate child code, right? Now I will run this to route. Let's see our problem got resolved or not. I will load this home page. It is now loading in 34 seconds. If I run this page too, it will load in 163 millisecond. Now if I do a parallel request, let's see, you see, now this request, maybe it has taken time, it will take a little long time, but it is not blocking the path for this home request. That means it is running on some other thread or running on some other core, but not in the on this core, in which core this home request is processing. This core is not used by this CPU task highly task intensive, this code, right? So it has separate code and it has separate code. So the moment I am loading these two parallelly, it is blocking some other code, but that code is not the same code with the home page code, right? So this way I'm able to load. This page is still loading, but at least the issue we are facing, that is now solved. Okay, so this is the main purpose of using our cluster. Like, that means so that we can free our master code, and this master code is able to process our easy request. And I hope you enjoy this video. If you have more questions, then you can comment down below. I will give answer one by one. So, and I will put this code on the GitHub branch, so from there you can take the code. So in this video, till this only. In the next video, maybe I will cover some other topic of Node.js. Thank you guys. Good night.